Hi everyone, this is Greg from Greg's Whiskey Guide. Some of you know me, some of you are discovering me newly. Thank you so much for the subscribers, new one, the old ones, the current ones. Everyone, it's pretty amazing to have such an increase, a recent increase of viewers. So I will try to be as efficient as possible. Probably I'm gonna post another video before next week. I decided to do this video of channel update, news update, and shout outs. A bit of miscellaneous topics gathered here because lots of things are going on and I'm a bit late for reviewing all the samples and things and bottles and whether they're purchased and swapped or gained or offered. There's lots of kind of status for the different ones, but by all means, for each of these whiskies I've received or bought or else, there are with no double speak as usual, and to make it clear once again, every gift, for instance, has to be preceded by an agreement in which the person or the company who gives it accepts the fact that I'm not going to be necessarily positive about their product, and I'm not going to necessarily publish immediately something about it. And also I might put it in remote in time or not too visible topic if it happens it's not something that's I found interesting, etc. So yeah, you have the right not to agree with that, but it's the way I work, and it's also a thing that gives me opportunities I would never ever have in another way of working. And believe me, there are very renowned people, I said it already in a comment, who ask for samples. You have no idea how many good, famous names do that. So then after, you have the right not to watch my channel if you understand that this or that has been offered, but I will state it. So you judge by yourself then afterwards if the review is decent, honest, or biased, or everything. About my t-shirt, I bought a series of t-shirts earlier on that I'm gonna wear from time to time and alternate them. The idea was given me by a new DRAM drinker indirectly when I purchased their t-shirt. And I saw on Teespring catalog that there were other whiskey related t-shirts or hoodies and every kind of clothing with a whiskey related name. This one has a few others you didn't see yet, has been designed using Teespring platform by the Luning family from Whisky.com, so Ben or Horst, and so that's why there's this logo in there, which comes mandatory, but okay, I like them, so not a big deal. And I found this one funny, so yeah, it's Whiskey O'Clock. So without further ado, let's. And it's also a shout out for Martin Mancave. I just watched his review, so he likes to say without a further ado in the beginning of his review. Yeah, so there's different things I want to tell you, so I had to make a list. And also I have now this new file about my videos because it's getting hard to organize, and in this way I realized that already for I'm gonna celebrate the 1 year of the channel in March, but there's already 31 videos I made and several lives, and also I did a sheet about what is planned to come soon, or what is already on the pipeline. And as I know, people, you might be frustrated when I get too general and videos are long, etc. I will include in this one a retasting of something I've talked about, but I didn't have received before this new video. So I will taste it with you in this video and put a timing also for the different parts. And then so you can switch and just watch this one if you're not interested by the news, or if you want to see it in several parts, etc. Okay, so new series coming on. New series coming on about I want to do one which will be called something like 5 examples of port maturation and port finishes, because it's one of those I prefer, this the port maturation. There's another one that will be about Madeira maturation and finishes, and another one of course about rum. For me, bourbon, sherry, port, Madeira and rum are the most traditional maturations and finishes, full maturation and finishes that has been done since, let's say, late 1990s. I've already talked about the history of finishes, so I won't be long about that in these videos. But for the first time, and that's why I take a bit of time, I will also present the liquid that has been there before, the whiskey maturation. So I will present you shortly a few port, Madeira and rums from my collection. So I had to source them, and for some I didn't have Madeira, for instance, which I don't drink usually. I found one that's not very okay, so I have to wait to find one that's better, to see what I can take of it, to compare it with the whiskies, then the impact on the whiskies. So it takes a bit of time. I might do the port before, because I managed to get some port. Also, I will probably do, as it's a request that comes from time to time, videos about glassware, water, and how to do a whiskey tasting, to organize your whiskey tasting when you're going to a show, things like that. Another series I will present to you is a new series that's a bit risky. I might have problems and the videos attacked or forbidden by the companies. We'll see. And I have prepared one that's not completely finished, but it will be called Demystifying Whiskey Marketing Tricks. Yes. So from time to time you see famous YouTubers such as Ralphie or others explain in the middle or the end of the video some very interesting, usually things about whiskey marketing, and how we have to stay a bit away from it and stay and be critical. But this I want to do 1 or 2 videos at least. There will be 100% devoted to that topic, and there's a very interesting things to say. And for some, I am not gonna reveal yet which ones, but for one brand, this is something I already mentioned in my website, but it doesn't seem people has really understood or written or read it, because people continue to be surprised by this brand but without knowing the background. And this background thing makes it's completely different in his understanding of what you're sipping and why it's like that. Okay, so enough for the spoiler. So yeah, let's get, also, yeah, before I forget, I'm gonna switch my program because it's kind of logic in there. I can also announce you already, I will do I will do 2 lives on my channel and participate in a third one. I just learned that now I will participate more modestly among other YouTubers. In the last drop, Chris is gonna do a McMara tasting. I think in 20, I don't remember now, okay, by the end of February. But what I can already announce you to note down, but you will have reminders, and if you click the notification bell, you're gonna be aware of it. I'm gonna do a live which was postponed because of samples and health reasons. Samples not arrive and health reasons and stuff. The one that was programmed with new DRAM Drinker and Spirits People about what I call cross blind tasting. It's of course inspired by what Johnny does on Spirits People channel, but this time I gave them samples, 2 samples. They sent me 1 sample each, and so we're gonna all taste something that the others don't know, and debate about that, so it's gonna be fun. So yeah, it's gonna be on February 19. You can note down, probably around 9 or 10 p.m. So February 19, live tasting, blind tasting with Johnny and Anthony and Nikki. So new DRAM Drinker and Spirits People. That's it. Another one that I want to do to thank as a tribute also to 2 great contributors to the channel by swapping or giving samples. It's a bourbon, special bourbon, of course, declining in rye and wheat and stuff. So all the bourbon or US whiskies family, let's say. So I want to do a live bourbon with samples from Luna Aaron and Guillaume, the G to the M, it's hard to spell, for instance, and exploring to start with those 3 Wellers, which things I cannot find in France, and these guys have found, kindly sent me samples to try 3 different expressions of Weller, on which we might top it off with other samples I have in that box here from both of them as well. So yeah, lots of things to do. I cannot give you yet the date for that American, let's say, session, live session, because I want to have with me a special guest on the live, and he will be a Northern American YouTuber. So there are some schedules issues, so we must find a date yet to be sure. We're going to be on the same timing to talk about these whiskies, which I'm very excited. I started already, as you can see. Luna's and yeah, Weller is seems to be an awesome brand. Hope to get the 12 years old at some point. Possible right now, but who knows. Okay, so we already almost 13 minutes. I think, yeah, it could be the right time to do a break with a tasting. What do you say? Okay, so in my last number I had the topic of peat and sherry. Why choose and why not take both in the same whiskey? So in the meantime I received this bottle, which is the peat and sherry expression, the 2020 from the Whiskey Exchange for their 20th anniversary. So it's the new one. It's bottled at 56.8, no age statement as usual, but sometimes you can find the age. For this one, I understand it's younger than the one I praised that was called the Chronicles. Nicknamed was the Chronicles, and it was for La Maison du Whisky. I couldn't get a bottle, but I had a sample, so I'm going to compare them in a specific review. I let this one breathe a bit more because for now it's a bit tight. The first thing I can say, it's younger, most probably, and a bit more feisty, stronger than in spice and intensity than the other one, but I like it. So I'm gonna pour a bit of it for those who like the pop. That means this is well closed when you have this sound, but you gotta be careful sometimes to wet it a bit. Whoops, I'm not gonna do it now, but in order to have it not to break too easily. And then after that, I'm going to present you the bottles that will be probably reviewed in the next videos, or that you're going to see in my website. Okay, so a bit of water, always required before. Okay, so this one with that amber color, yellowish. Well, let me show you the bottle once again. There you go. And then behind, what's behind? Not much, except this is a limited edition, 400 bottles, and all sherry maturation. Marriage of single malts combines the heavily smoked style of Islay whiskey with the richness of sherry cask maturation. So it's a blended, I forget to mention, guys, it's a blended malt from Islay distilleries of Scotland only. Okay, so on the nose. Ooh. Immediately I get a kind of buttery and green elements in it, and on top of it some violet, light violet, don't be afraid, and maybe lilac elements, floral elements on top of this buttery malty feeling. So then there's also some kind of medicinal, a bit grassy element. So for me, immediately it ticks two boxes. I'm smelling, but I might be wrong, Colilla and Bowmore, but I might be wrong. Problem is, I read that somewhere and it influenced my tasting. I should have not read it before I tried the first tasting 2 weeks ago, but I smell them. I might be wrong. If you know it, please add it on the comment on the comments below. Please, if you're sure only about the distilleries that's inside, I'm interested. But for me, my guessing is Colilla and Bowmore. Okay, it seems it has sweetened a bit from the first tasting. And why I'm not reviewing properly and longer and now, because I think it needs more time. So it's just a superficial review, but a review that's still, even if it's quick, still gives you an impression about it. Could be useful. Okay, I'm not gonna apologize all the time. Yeah, very floral. There's some ripe fruit behind it. Some nice oak. For me, it's not older than 10 or 12 years old. It might be a combination, I would say, of maybe 6 to 12. My first guessing. Okay, on the palate now. Slangeva, cheers, santé, and all that jazz. Wow, powerful. Yeah, there's some tannins there, there's some spices, chili pepper a bit, black pepper, but not so much. There's some bit of seaweed that also speaks Bowmore or Lagavulin. There's some leather, Lagavulin, then some sea spray and brine, but not so much. And as it's Islay, it cannot be Talisker. Just a hint of chlorophyll or menthol that suggests Kulila but sherried. Another sip and then I'm gonna add some water. Slight bitterness right at the end. Slightly acrid, but still very pleasant. The sherry is very well integrated in the peat smoke, and the peat smoke in the whiskey. I mean, I'm gonna add water. I think it's still a bit closed. Lots of things on the table. You have no idea. Yeah, I'm gonna speak also to you after this about an event I was on Thursday. That was very nice. Okay, so with the water, a bit sweeter, less bitter. The flowers now come across more melted in the whole thing. I don't get really dried fruit, figs, raisins, sultanas and all that. Everything is so much melted. It's hard to pick up something else than green notes, marine notes, I mean, from the sea. It's hard to pick very, very precise note at this stage. So it needs to open up again. If I have to rate it, and I did my first rate, last week, it was around 87. While the La Maison du Whisky expression of this from last year was rated 93, something like that. 93 or 0.5, something. So much more beautiful. Probably not the same distilleries involved, but well, I bought it because I couldn't bought the other one, obviously, but hoping it was as good. It's not as good at the moment, but it's still a very nice one. And for 60 euros, if it's 50 cl, I think it's worth it. Then we're gonna see how it evolves. Okay, that was it for the inserted review in that channel news. So to continue with tasty notes that are gonna happen, and yeah, there's a whiskey I forgot on the table. Has to be, even when you prepare, you have to you have to forget something, especially if you don't edit. But never mind. It's I tasted yesterday the Dry Fly Triticale bottled at 45% ABV, and I found it now more open and more satisfying and more expressive. So something that I couldn't really enjoy at first first time, and with 3 tasting now, I think I can do a proper review of it. So you will see soon the Dry Fly, which is a small craft distillery from Chicago. So I will review this very soon. Starting now what's on the table, I'm gonna start first by the dinner I had on Thursday, which was organized from Pernod Ricard, which, as you might not know, or you might know, is the owner of around 15 Scottish distilleries, grain and malts, included the Glenlivet, Strutila, Scapa, and of course one of the best from the Speyside, in my opinion, it's of course Abelauer. So I went to a dinner. I was invited. I was the only YouTuber there, by the way. And we were 5 or 6 bloggers, there were 2 Instagram people talking about whiskey and spirits. I'm not on Instagram, so it was a surprise, and I was happy to discuss with these guys. French, yeah, everyone was French except the brand ambassador. So yeah, we had about 20 people invited for a kind of press event, of course. It was an Abelauer dinner on February 6th, and I have the menu here, but I'm sorry, it's in French. And the dinner was prepared for the food pairings, 5 courses, 5 whiskies by Amandine Chéniaud, which is a French chef, which has a lot of success now. Especially she likes to work with vegetables, old vegetables, new vegetables, and to do cooking with a care for the environment, and also what we call locavore in French, which is cooking with the most close from the restaurant and from the area elements in order not to have too much high carbon imprint, stuff like that. But that means also quality and sourcing, and for me that's the most important than any hype. Not going to talk about politics here. So yeah, but I approve this kind of approach, and the dinner was really great. I haven't translated this in English for you. I will do a report about it on my website, but to put a long story short, there were things like foie gras, my first Scotch egg, which was a Scotch quill egg, celeriac, I think it's celeriac, lacked with teriyaki sauce, absolutely awesome. Saint-Jacques, it's scallops, sea scallops. And one of those dishes, the Saint-Jacques, was paired with a very special edition of Abelauer, which was made only for private use. For now, 84 bottles, 21 years old, fully matured in bourbon, and bottled at 48.1 ABV. Very amazing and surprising whiskey, as often Abelauer likes to mix bourbon and sherry casks. And it was a interesting single malt. And honestly, if I had this poured blind, I wouldn't have picked an Abelauer at all. With this, we had this gift. I said prior to this in the beginning of the video about gifts and stuff. So we had this gift that comes with it, which is batch 56 of Abelauer Abuna. So the 56 comes at 61.2, as usual, non-chill filtered, maybe not colored, not sure. So I'm gonna review this, then I'm gonna review also, I received Fettercairn because I couldn't try it at several occasions, samples of the 12 and the 28 years old. So it's minis, 5CL minis. So I will try that as well and give my honest opinion about it, whether I like them or not. They're coming with a nice letter like this. What else? The Abelauer, yeah. There's a few bottles I bought and I haven't covered yet or even opened yet, but that dinner gave me the envy to do it. This one is a supermarket, apparently a good value for beginners, mainly, of course, not for the super connoisseur, because it's chill filtered, it's 40% and it's caramel colored. But as I said elsewhere, this doesn't mean it will be bad. It will just be less authentic. I tried it in a whiskey show 2 years ago, and I found it nice, easy sipping thing. Not as good as the 16 double cask mature, of course, the Abuna, which is a different league. But I found it easy, so there was a good price on it on my supermarket. A few weeks ago, I said, let's try this. About Abelau, sorry, this is a good mistake, because I believe this one is the light Abuna version. I don't know if you have in your market this cask. Oh, it's brilliant. The reflection, it's a problem. Cask Annam is an expression combining, as the other one, by the way, American oak, hogsheads, and sherry butts. This one is an expression for the French market, as I understand. Maybe you can find it elsewhere. I'm not 100% sure, but it was presented for the French retailers, mainly, not supermarkets. It's a bottle at 48%, and it's non-chill filtered, which is stated on the label, but doesn't say about color, so my guess it is colored. Okay, why I bought this recently, because after the dinner, during the dinner, I enjoyed this one very much, and also having tasting the previous batches, some were okay, some were less balanced, and I found this one pretty well balanced. There are 4 batches at least so far, and this is the number 3, and didn't like too much the second, and I liked the first one. So that's why I didn't bought it, waiting for being sure out of whiskey show context to like one. And I tasted it twice during the dinner, and yeah, I decided to buy it as it was a good price as well, less than 50 euros. Before I forgot, the Ben Romach I tasted in the last video is going to be on the website on more precise notes, as well as this that I haven't opened yet, that was awarded as well, the Kingsbourne Dream to Dram single malt. So please be patient, all this takes time. And this I haven't opened yet, but I'm very happy to have the 2002 Dinston 16 years old organic Oloroso cask finish, bottled at 50.6. No color, no chill filtration. French exclusive, I forgot to mention last time. Well, it's not peated, with a beautiful packaging, a bit old-fashioned one. It's an 11 years old Aaron for France, exclusive store pick for Le Comptoir Irlandais, which is a channel of clothes and whiskies and spirits in France. There are around, I don't know, 20 shops maybe, and 2 in Paris. And they provide beautiful choice of Irish, but also Scottish and other countries' whiskies. Well, first try isn't super satisfying. This is supposed to be a cask strength, even if it's not stated as it at 53.7. Natural color, non-chill filtered. And the particularity is it is said a small batch, but for me 965 bottles doesn't sound like a small batch, but a single cask, but maybe. 11 years old, and it's entirely matured, which is unusual in Pinot de Charente, French sweet wine cask. So it's a bit sugared, it's a bit, it's not really winey. I was expecting more impact, more oomph, but for now it doesn't seem to have, so it needs also some air. I'm not a crazy guy about neck pour. I heard this term for the first time last year. In my experience, and also because my flat is usually hotter than the average others, Liquid tends to dry with oxidation. So for some whiskies, of course, the neck pour is not good. But for others, the neck pour is the best part of it, believe me or not. So it's hard for me to be really categoric about neck pour question. Just a parenthesis. Of course, I have to speak of this one and thank a big shout out to Antonio from Whiskey Quest, who reminded me of it and kindly mentioned it in one of his live, especially for me. This one was not distributed in France for a long time. La Maison du Whisky now sells it. It's a blended whiskey that exists for years and decades and decades. I'm gonna do a special review about it. It's a 12 years old bottle of 40%, 1 liter. It's for travel retail usually, but first time by the end of the last year that it was sold in a French shop, I mean whiskey shop, La Maison Whisky. Why this? Because it was probably, most probably, like I said on my website, the first bottle of whiskey I ever tried before the Johnny Walker 12 and others I mentioned earlier on. I remembered it only last year or so, because it was also the first bottle my father, who passed away 3 years ago, had in the family house at where I live. Yeah, it's the first I kind of enjoyed, kind of disliked. I didn't know if the whiskey was past, I mean damaged, too much air, OBA, etc. I knew nothing about this question at this time. I was around 20 or 25 years old when I tried it, but I kind of liked it, and the visual, it's so special with those like, you know, it was cracked, it was damaged, but it's not. It's in the glass made like this. Makes it very special. It's an old-fashioned blended whiskey. I'm a bit afraid of I'm not gonna like it because it might be more industrialized now than 20 or 30 years ago, but I had to have this one in my collection for very special personal reasons. Before I forgot, and before it ends, because I see the video is gonna be again long, apologies for that. Spoiler, I'm gonna open very soon a bottle I have been offered by the brand, because in 2018 I have been offered a sample of it and I liked it very much and I found it amazing. I put it in my top whiskies of the year, and also I give credit to the brand, which is a craft distillery, to do something really unique and new, at least for this country. Yeah, it's a spoiler, I'm sorry, because I want to keep the secret a bit. This is just something that can give you a clue. This will be a rye whiskey, a category now I'm very fond of, and this will not be from the North America. Haha, so I'll let you guess. And yeah, I will be talking more about it in a special review coming in. Have I covered everything? No. Quick shout outs to New Drum Drinker. I was a guest for the first series of Pour It, Drink It, and oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Enjoy It. Pour It, Drinking, Enjoy It with Friends series, which is tastings, often with Nikki, but maybe sometimes with Anthony. They ask for YouTubers to give them, and also people who are not, like Luna Aaron. I mean, she's a YouTuber pillar, but she's in the chat. She hasn't got a channel, but who cares? She's great. Yeah, so they asked several people if they wanted to give their notes on the background to their tasting and compare them with the video. So I was the first one to not to give them, but to be in the video of Glenmorangie Signet. I'm gonna put a link below so you can check it out. So I was happy to do that with them. FOODQUIG, I want to give a great shout out to FOODQUIG. He knows that already, but because he has been, and I'm gonna put a link as well, he has been to SHELTER POINT Distillery, Vancouver Island, Canada, distillery, which I'm very curious of. I smell something great from them. I don't know why. I haven't tasted anything. They don't pay me, etc. But it's just a guess. So he had been visiting the distillery, and to put a long story short, he did a 1-hour video in the distillery, still room, wash bags, everything, and then in the warehouse, crazy tasting with Leon Webb and another people from the distillery. You have to, if you like whiskey, and even if you don't have access to SHELTER POINT whiskies, which I don't have, you have to watch this video. It's all about loving whiskey and sharing it. So yeah, a great teaser for us to go to Canada. So thanks, FOODQUIG. So I give also a shout out to Whiskey Quest. I must not forget to give one to Whiskey Novice Jim, who runs a small new channel, which I think it's a really interesting formula of tasting whiskies, with a bit of editing, clever editing, and some. He's from Northern Ireland, but he gets something so much not Scottish but Celtic that yeah, I like his way of doing reviews with a bit of information, his take on the whiskies. And also, people you might not know, he's a great musician and singer, and he has a channel about it. But I put a link only to the YouTube whiskey channel, and then you get contact with him if you want to know more about music. Which gives me a great transition to finish off with some musical shout outs. My big crush at the moment, yeah, okay, it's the physical, but it's mostly the music and the singing. It's not her last album. I'm currently trying to gather her albums. They're not all available at the moment. Last one is called Lo-Fi Soul. Islay REINHART. She's from Illinois, from the United States. She's born in 1990. From a family, musical family, and it shows. She's been singing and writing, I think, from 8 years old. She has an absolutely fabulous range, fabulous voice. She can sing honestly anything. She did start covering jazz in the jazz way with Postmodern Jukebox Band. Covers of Seven Nation Army from the White Stripes, Creep from Radiohead, and then she started to incorporate in her albums personal compositions, and honestly, I'm completely mesmerized by what she does. I'm gonna see her in Paris soon, as she's touring in Europe, and very excited. It's really mind-blowing for me, singer, and one of the most gifted I have come across from 10 years or more. Since Tori Amos, I haven't seen a woman with such talent and such skills, and also she stays in, she has her feet in the ground. I saw interviews where she seems to be a very nice person, etc. I'm gonna put some links below. I already did a small topic about her on my website, so I'm not gonna be too long again. Another band, very quickly, it's not their last albums. I'm discovering a bit way back, completely different. It's progressive metal. and their animals as leaders, and it's a trio, and with two of the musicians who are using 8-string guitars. They managed to mix virtuoso playing with let's say still melodic approach, which make it more bearable because it's ultra technical. These guys are crazy, especially the lead singer Tosin Abisi, a singer and a musician and a main composer. It's a fantastic trio, and I will also put some links. Last but not least, I'm rediscovering some of the back catalog of My Dying Bride, one of my very favorite doom metal band from England, and yeah, they live in the north of England. Yeah, and yeah, this one is Devoted Shadows with the compilation with the track of almost 30 minutes with another mini. So yeah, that's it for this time. 45 minutes. I'm gonna put some timing. Be reassured, and thank you so much for watching. Other videos are coming in, specific topics, and a live very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys very soon. Bye.